Okay.
Recording in progress. Oh,
Awesome.
okay. So hi, Mitra.
Hi, Robin.
Everybody out there who's watching any of these recordings. We're here to talk about resilience. In particular, we've called our program Dare to Thrive,
Yes.
Building Personal Resilience in a World Gone Nuts.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
And the reason for that we'll tell you as we move along in some of the content here. So this is our very first session, just to introduce ourselves and a bit of our background story as to what led us here as far as this interest in personal resilience using various methods. So we have two facilitators here. I'm Robin Levesque, and this is Mitra Mohamadzadeh. And we collaborate together. We've been working together on stuff for the last 3 years. And we finally have an opportunity to share the stage, be it a virtual stage, together. And I am super looking forward to this opportunity because Mitra is the one speaker, the one workshop leader that truly, in my opinion, speaks from the heart. You will notice that when she talks is like, sometimes there's a bit of an accent there, and sometimes the words come out in a different order, but they come straight from the heart, and you will totally get that when Mitra speaks. I'm really looking forward to this session. I'm really looking forward to the other free online workshops that we'll be doing together. And then ultimately, for next year, we are launching our full week intensive program on the same topic. We'll hear more about that later. So hi, I am Robin Levesque, and I work with organizations that want to co-create a culture of positive leadership at every level to reduce the cost of stress, absenteeism, and turnover, and increase employee engagement, effectiveness, and client satisfaction. I like to say that a happy boss makes a happy employee and a happy customer. Now that's a winning formula. Grumpy boss, grumpy employee, grumpy client, not so much. So with me today, I have, like I said, Mitra Mohamadzadeh, and I'll let her introduce herself and talk a little bit about who she likes to work with.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and it's an opportunity to give our voice together on a stage more louder with more synergy. I'm Mitra Mohamadzadeh. I'm an advanced grief specialist. I'd like to introduce myself with the grief recovery specialist because I work with organization and individuals to increase the mental health state of employees, peoples, and reduce the I wasn't sorry. I forget. Oh my God.
That's why we're doing it not live first. Is let's practice it. Okay.
I work with an organization because I changed it. I used to say I work with organization to increase performance, and now I want to change it to mental health.
Yes,
I should have work on it. I work with organization to increase mental health and performance. Oh.
So I have a recommendation for you, Mitra, because I've read your tagline. It suits you very well.
Yeah.
Practice it every day, right, until it just becomes second nature.
Yeah.
And then you become it. Okay, that's the cool thing that I found is and I'll talk about this in our program, is about reprogramming our mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Through the years, and we both talked about this, through the years, we're born perfect.
Yeah.
And then we grow up imperfect because we're taught these limiting beliefs, self-limiting beliefs. We have these grief moments that you like to deal with. And what happens is we just, I really love your analogy of the backpack is you keep accumulating these heavy rocks that you put in the backpack, and it just starts weighing you down, right? So that's the opportunities to start looking at that. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is reprogramming your mind. And I know that you will as well. But when you reprogram your mind with what you do want, right? So I want to work with organizations that co-create a culture of positive leadership. I've practiced that for the last year or so. That's why it comes to me like that now, right? Is every day I go for a walk and
Yeah.
I get out loud until it becomes a part of me. It sounds natural, right?
True. Because I used to, like you, it was coming by my heart. Always I said, I work with organizations that want to create a culture of diversity and inclusion.
Yes, that's the one I'm referring to, yeah.
That will reduce the mental health, the cost of mental health and turnover. But I change it to and increase awareness of unconscious mind bias. But no, I don't know why last 2 days I kept telling me, actually Sarah told me, get out of this diversity and inclusion. You are not. I said, yeah, it's a culture, new culture. That's why these are in my head to change it to, I work with organizations that want to create a new culture or co-culture of diversity, inclusion, or if you think it's good, I know this by my heart.
Yes.
Know it. I'm Mitra Mohammadzadeh. I work with organizations that want to create a culture of diversity and inclusion that will reduce the cost of mental health and turnover, also to increase awareness of unconscious mind bias.
Beautiful. All right. So let's talk about why we're here today, because when they hear our introductions, maybe it doesn't quite jive with the title of our presentation or workshop, which is Dare to Thrive, How to Build Personal Resilience in a World Gone Nuts. So here's my question to you. Are you or someone you know suffering from pandemic fatigue? Right? This COVID thing hit almost 2 years ago now. Almost everyone I talk to is like, oh, can this thing just go away, right? And that's something that we don't have control over as to what happens with COVID-19 or the variants that are coming in after that. What we do have control is how we ourselves respond to it, right?
Yeah.
What resilience toolkit do we have to help us thrive through all of this? So that's what we're here to do. So all of us, I think, at this point could use an extra dose of personal resilience just about now. Okay. So I know that I know a bit of your history, Mitra. I certainly know mine. And that's kind of what I want to start as, if you can say yes to that, you or someone is kind of struggling with this right now, this sort of pandemic fatigue is like, oh, go away, please. Well, us too, and I know that Mitra and I, both of our struggles started well before COVID-19 with some other matters. Mitra, you want to tell us a little bit about your story as to what brought you to doing what it is that you do today?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a long story, but short. I was working hard on myself to get my happiness and being, not doing. I used to doing more than being. And through my life story, and I am a survivor from third car crash accident. And that wake-up call has brought me to who am I today, to increase my self-awareness, create my custom design of toolbox of working with psychologists, counselor, life coaches, and psychiatrists, and many more of other tools but it was still, I was not as happy as today. And always I was suffering from my inner side. I was not happy. I always used to ask myself, what's wrong with you, Mitra? You have everything, so you have the tools, but I wasn't, each thing that was hit me, I wasn't able to use that box that I had at the same time. And in this journey, I went through a really few broken hearts that I will share with you through this amazing seminar, what to call it, amazing journey together.
Workshop journey, yes.
Workshop journey, yeah. And through that all broken hearts that I had, I ending up to decide to go for euthanasia, departure voluntary. And one of those people that was shocked was Robin and my friend Sarah. And I was thinking that I'm done in this life, but still I had hope to live. I went through that very hard. I used to run away from to face it. Sometimes our resistance, mind resistance, doesn't let us to go through the fears and deep inside to face it. And I was not aware of it, that what was wrong with me. So in this journey, for a night at the caves, of course, Robbins and I, we are part of Canadian professional speakers. I met a woman, Roxanne, one of our dear fellow, and I was talking with her, and I was hardly cried for my decision, and I had hope, the light. So she talked about grief with me, and she said, oh my God, you have grief. I said, what is grief? And I've never heard about it. As you know, my story, I'm newcomer, and some words, even I never heard that in my language. Surprisingly, grief does not have equal Farsi meaning in dictionary in Farsi, and it was totally new, and it was my wake-up call. I went through that grief. I have found, oh my God, what was wrong with me. In fact, there was not any wrong with me. It was the process of my learning. I have realized I had lots of knowledge. We get a lot of knowledge through our life. We kept this knowledge. I wasn't used it as much. I wasn't using it as much as today to do it use it as a wisdom. I hadn't had feeling here. Wisdom, I have realized with these new tools that I'm so excited to share with you, is in my heart, your heart, our hearts. It's wisdom. And I have realized the wisdom is inlight within me, but it didn't come to my thought to inside. Through this journey, I have seen a lot of insights and insight. And these tools, which is grief recovery method, it to me and many other more people, it's a great self-awareness tool that it's a component by itself from different of the, it's a tools with 3-4 approaches. It's like combo. It's like, I always say, it's like Apple 3-in-1. Apple, what they call it, Apple computers. It's like a new system, computers, 3-in-1, and no PC in it. So it's these toolbox include psychoanalytic, schema, ACT, it's in it. Also, it's tools for schema is in it. ACT, do you know ACT? Oh, cognitive behavior, CBT, and through the psychoanalytic, you say goodbye by your own to the pain and sorrow. And it was the hint that I was searching it 15 years, why I'm not having inner peace with all those tools that I had. And I have found the most beautiful things in my life that I was not say goodbye to the pain and sorrow. I was say goodbye to people. I was blocked people. I was run away from people. And now this is a journey. Who am I? This is journey I want to share with you. And I guarantee you, this is an extraordinary tools that you ever experienced all in one in this workshop.
Yeah, I agree, Mitra. And, I've been a client of yours as well. And, that's why I wanted to bring you along for this particular journey and to help people at this point in life. So I'll talk a little bit about my journey in terms of what brought me here. And then we can talk a little bit more about our independent systems, our systems. I like that word, in how we can help people with sharing what we've learned over these years. So like most people, I've had a pattern of I would call struggles and losses through my life, starting with my dad leaving home when I was 9 years old. And I recognized that set a certain pattern in my life in terms of losses and feelings of abandonment and so on. And then I had to become the new man of the house. So that led to a whole bunch of other losses as well, including some of my youth as a young person. My next big trauma was major surgery when I was 18. I had Crohn's disease and spent 6 hours on an operating table in a near life loss experience. And again at 24 and so on. So there's been this pattern, and I had this really good streak for like 25 years, right? Career was going great. I found a spouse. I got married. I had two stepdaughters with this woman. Life was really good for a long time until just before my 50th birthday. Everything came crashing down. After 20 years of dedicated public service, I was informed that my services were no longer needed. So I was let go from a career of 20 years in public service. So that had a severe impact on my income. My marriage was starting to see some cracks in it after 15 or so years. And then some of my health was deteriorating as well as a result of all the stress that I put myself under in those 20 years as a public servant. So that was sort of the really big impact in my middle ages that really kind of gave me a wake-up call as, what do I do? How do I deal with this? And then we had a bit of a recovery. 2.5 years later, I moved to Vancouver Island, where I discovered I got my dream job, only to find out 1.5 years later that it wasn't my dream job. I got let go once again, but this was what I call my perfect storm. And I talk about this more on my website and in my book Shine. Within 2 weeks, I'll make this story really short. Within 2 weeks, I lost my job. I lost my marriage. So my marriage of 20 years did fall apart. We got separated. My health was going down the tubes, right? So I was showing early signs of kidney disease. And to top it all off, we had to put my dog down, Bam, that we had for 11 years. And that, I have to say, was probably the toughest part of all of that. It was having to put the dog. That's the only one that made me cry, right? So, but as you can imagine, that perfect storm of negative emotions and sometimes relief, right? And we'll talk more about this concept of stress and chronic stress and acute stress later on. But that was my perfect storm in terms of really wanting to find a technique that works for me. So that's kind of our background story. So Mitra, do you want to talk a little bit about your solution story? Like in particular, I know you've only sort of discovered, like you see, you've been waiting for 15 years for this new thing to come along. And one of the things we say is that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I remember being on a phone call with you. I think you were going to Salt Lake City to learn about this new method. And I said, Mitra, what are you doing? Like, you've done so much with your life. And, all of this, if you don't know, Mitra is like a PhD candidate. She's got, I don't know how many masters. So she's a very, very well-educated woman, but she's always searching, right? And you were searching for this one thing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Actually, it has been started since I married 34 years ago. Actually, before that, I have. Oh, wait a minute. Should I talk about what I lost before to answer that?
I think that you've covered that fairly well. I'm interested in your recovery journey. So
recovery, not what I had lost.
No, so I know that maybe you want to summarize that, but I know you've had a lot of significant losses like me, and a pattern of losses over the years. Yeah. And that's what led you to this spot where you want to find out about a technique, a system that would help you overcome that.
Yeah, the specific technique that I want that it has helped me, specific techniques that helped me. First is grief recovery method. In this technique, we learned, or we will learn. How should I say it? I learned, or you will learn what's the grief, a specific meaning of grief, and the type of grief. We always have heard that grief is specific just for when we are experience the loss of our beloved. That today I lost my uncle yesterday, for example, or any divorce and incomplete relationship. But in fact, with this technique that I was amazed, we are dealing with 40 types of grief in daily life, which is included intangible and tangible losses. Oh, and the list of our STERBs, short-term relieving energy behaviors, that we are unknowingly, unconsciously, we replaced our pain and sorrow with those short-term relieving, like food, sleep, isolation, be a strong, time give it, and any other. Like we replace it with food, shopping, sleep. It's very individual as uniqueness of our fingerprint to replace this pain. Drink, smoke, any alcohol, anything based on each person's personality types. And another thing is the belief system. We have grown up with a five main belief system. Why I can't concentrate is good for disconnected with Iran. With the belief system that we grow up, like be strong, man does not cry, or give it a time, isolate by yourself. in pain alone, go through the pain alone. And those belief systems, which are intellectual, and should I add my own story? That was my, I don't have your.
I am muted, sorry. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have lots of time to get into the solutions and the techniques and all that, but like, what was the result of, you know, like I said, we'll get into the specific techniques like STIRB and, you know, grief loss calendars and stuff like that. But, you know, I think what listeners want to know is what happened in a short term. Like, did it work?
Yeah, it works amazingly, because through this workshop we learn to normalize the pain and sorrow. We will create a checklist that these are also emotions.
Yes.
Like being happy, smiley. When you learn how to balance between pleasant and unpleasant feeling, it really works perfectly.
Yeah, so as I recall, you went to Salt Lake City, I think is where you took your first.
Oh, yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so you spent what, a week there learning about this with other learners, one of your friends as well. And was there a transformation during that week that you were there?
Yeah, a lot. My transformation happened when I registered to be part of grief, to move on, to say goodbye to my pain and sorrow. I went 5 days full day training in Salt Lake City, US, by Grief Recovery Method Institute, International Grief. Oh, what is grief? I should talk about that. John and Russell are the founders of these amazing tools over 40 years that recently we just lost a few months ago, John.
Yeah.
And 40 years, this tool has helped millions of people across the world. Should I say this?
Yeah, no, that's great. So I think that's a great preamble to what we'll be covering in the program.
What we will recover, we will learn what is grief, types of grief, the list of wrong or not. I don't know how to say it. What was the 5 things? No, there was incorrect. What was the title of the belief system? Wrong belief system, the list of wrong, get awareness about the belief system. I'll find not wrong, expired belief system, like it serves the short-term relieving energy behaviors.
Yeah.
And then we will learn about the graph. This is similar with the psychoanalysis of you go from your childhood up to today now to see your journey life in your own eyes associated, and we were using NLP to disassociate your graph of losses to see, wow, that is the reason I can't be happy at the end of the day. I carry a lot of unconsciously, a lot of 40 types of pain and sorrow. And that's why I get angry, Mitras, all the Mitras, like all of a sudden irrational, emotional, like the active volcano to be active. And so after that, it has its own component to find out what was the result of any loss of broken hearts, the disease, the misinformation, the list of our illness, our accidents, our the lack of our attention, focus, ADHD, the OCD, they all covers this line. And after that, we go through just only for this workshop, just only two of your losses, the most important one, to go through the graph of emotional graph, which has three main components of acknowledge or apologies about this event and forgiveness. Always people have taught us to forgive others, not forgive yourself. In this specific journey, you will learn how to forgive yourself first. And emotional statement. And the last day, you will write a letter, a goodbye letter. Goodbye to the pain and sorrow with expressing your emotional statements, and feel the joy and moment of each day of your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mitra. That's a great preamble to the great material that we'll cover and tools and techniques and actually practice in the system. As to my recovery journey, when these events happen, especially the more recent events like getting let go just before the age of 50 and again at age 54, one of the tools that was a go-to for me is something that I'll share in this program. It's called the Dream Master Key. Dream Master Key is an acronym for number one, discover, which is knowing ourselves. It's self-awareness, knowing ourselves more than anybody else knows ourselves. The R stands for reach, which is what do I want to reach for in terms of my life design and the goals that I have. We have the E stands for elaborate. So what's my plan? How am I going to get from where I'm at today to where I want to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and so on. And then we have the A stands for act. And then the M stands for metrics. How do I measure my success? So that's one of the tools that we'll be learning. And I like to apply this to all aspects of my life. But I just wanted to say that, the pillars, the two pillars of that system is discover and reach. Discover is where am I at today? And in particular, we're going to look at happiness in the now, right? And how do we increase that level of satisfaction, that level of happiness, okay? And we can define it as success or anything you want, but I like to look at 4 areas of life. I look at personal, I call that the me. We look at our closest relationships, I call that we. We look at our business, our vocation, our work, our jobs, whatever you want to call it, and we'll get into that as well. And that's the us. And then we have the plus, which is your community, your contribution to community, your membership, and essentially how you explore this great big planet of ours. So those are the components. And we talk about the whole life garden assessment. Okay, so we're going to measure aspects of our satisfaction in those particular areas. And the goal is to grow our garden, is to ask ourselves, how full is my garden today? And how can I make it bigger? How can I make it fuller? Okay, how can I attract even more happiness into my life? So that's the one pillar. The second pillar is the reach, which is personal vision. Okay, very few people have a written down personal vision. Hopefully this changes for you as a result of this program, because this is a game changer. When you have a written down personal vision statement, you have goalposts for your life. You have purpose, and you start living your life on purpose and not somebody else's purpose, right? So that's the thing about not having your own goals, not having your own purpose. You start living you start living your life according to other people's priorities. And that is not very satisfying. Okay, you want to find out your own purpose, whether it's discovered or created. So those are the two pillars. And then we have the accelerators, are the having a plan, following up with action, and then having some metrics around that as well. So that's the system that I'm going to talk about in our program. In particular, I call it positive leadership, especially as it applies to personal mastery. But what I'll be doing in this particular program is really deep diving into the personal aspect of resilience. What are some tools and techniques that we can learn and practice to increase our personal satisfaction with our spiritual health, our mental health, and our physical health? So this is where you're going to start seeing some real complementary content between what I'm talking about and what Mitra's talking about. But I just wanted to mention that one of the things in my journey, so I had this tool all along. So throughout my trauma and losses later on in life, this was the go-to tool that I had, and it worked very well, but I never quite got to where I wanted to be. And that's kind of where I met Mitra. I met Mitra in 2008 at a CAPS conference. As she mentioned, the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, we're both members, professional members. And we started talking about some of this stuff. And then, we started doing some collaborations together. And, we both went through some more trauma the year after. And that's when Mitra learned her new trade, her new skill. And I said, hey, I want to try this out. Can I try it? So I did some work with Mitra, and it was amazing. So if the Dream Master Key got me to like 80% there, the work that I did with Mitra took me the rest of the way. And that was the whole idea is, a lot of what we do in my system is start challenging limiting beliefs, self-awareness, figuring out where we want to go, developing a plan, but there was something missing. And that's really where I think this grief recovery method really allowed me to take it the rest of the way. So I'm really excited to share this with you and our participants as well. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the results that you've obtained with some of your clients?
Yeah. And before that, should I, when you talk, I'm making more friendly and say, hey, in fact, Robin, you hired me. Yes. Should I say like that? Or no, we don't allow to make friendly with them.
It's okay. I mean, I did. I was one of your first clients, right? And it was an honor to be one of your first clients.
Yeah, in English.
Yeah. Kind of the test pilot to a lot of this in terms of how you're going to apply this in a one-on-one coaching relationship. And then right off, straight away, you started teaching many people the same kind of stuff. You started doing some group coaching. You've had an amazing journey since then. I know you went to Iran. You've written the Farsi book on grief recovery method. Like, let's talk about that, right? You've had some huge successes in this area. So tell us about some of your client successes, if you will.
Yeah, actually, I feel I revert with grief recovery method. Mm-hmm. And I have found the happiness and to fulfill my mission, a legacy, to leave a legacy to the world by this technique. Yeah, I have over thousands. I have helped, especially last year, online with the COVID-19. I devote my life to this technique to people in Farsi language internationally, in different continent, in few continents. And as a result, it was like exactly a huge, what they call it, how to say, is a positive way, in a positive bomb, they called me, positive nuclear, my friends and my clients, really, they have written testimonial for me that we forget about Corona. We have lost a lot in Corona. We know our social relation, our distance, be isolated, but Mitra was a nuclear positive energy for us. And they have moved, because the most important impact that I feel truly blessed, I have realized Corona and the situation of COVID-19 was not the reason that people freaked out. That even though we pass a Corona, we are dealing with this situation. It's about our inside, and grief, that's why became, how to say in English, help me, Robin, announced. It's like a spread to the world.
Yes, yes.
Especially because I have realized Corona is triggers.
Yeah.
This situation
Get the word out there, right?
triggers us from our past. You have been through this graph. And it's not this situation, it's behind the scene that now it has triggered with this COVID-19 situation. And I started to tell people, if you are irritated with this situation, if you have anger, sadness, guilt, and you can't resist with this situation, lots of my clients, over thousands, they are dealing with OCD, and it's extended badly with this situation. So as a result, I have a huge impact to help people to say goodbye to the pain and sorrow. And after 15 years, I went back home, Iran, and I have established the first grief organization in Iran, in Farsi. And I had the highest number of the support group online, in person. I ran it in 5 provinces in Iran. Huge organization, all industry, they hired me for. I have created how to increase self-awareness of employees with this fatigue and COVID, because it's related their losses in back, childhood, and many more, a lot. Actually, people hired me in Iranian community in Sweden, and amazingly, it has been huge impact that I'm even though surprised when I go live now. It's about grief because it's new, and people have realized that, oh, that's the reason I'm not happy at the end of the day. We have everything, but always we have regret. Not always, actually, often when we are dealing with some loss, we still have that regret, that why these things happen to me. And with this technique, it's like the inlight to see the light of this happening in your life, and there is a pattern, meaning pattern in it. So
yeah. Thank you, Mitra. That's amazing. And you and I were talking about this recently, that in our experience, because we had access to this toolkit, COVID wasn't that big a deal, right? Like, I mean, I had some pretty traumatic things happen to me as soon as COVID started. You know, I'm an online, I did have a bit of an online presence, but primarily I was a face-to-face workshop leader. So I lost almost 100% of my business overnight when COVID, when news of COVID came down in sort of February, March of 2020. So pretty much all of my business was gone. Then I found out around the same time, a short time after that, that I had a massive kidney stone in my left kidney that had to be surgically removed with the kidney, right? So some big events, but it wasn't that bad, right? Because I had a toolkit to go to. I had my Dream Master Key. I had my whole life garden that I was growing, and I had grief recovery. And then the last component we'll talk a little bit about as well, the neurolinguistic programming, as an add-on to that, to start reprogramming your mind, right? To start reprogramming, what do we replace our grief with? What do we replace our limiting beliefs with? Is new programming, and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, helps us with that as well, right?
Yeah, true. It has a huge impact, and one day we will practice and interact through the interactive learning with you all participants to set and see how rewiring our brain does work to recreate the new identity, new values, new beliefs, to reach the highest level of happiness, highest level of unconscious mind. And it's way above the finding your values. You will find the categories of your unconscious mind, how our 88% of our brain works, unconscious mind, how much it has a huge impact in our daily life when we are aware how it works. For example, let's talk about our communication. We will talk about now Robin and I and you all are talking through the communication, and you will learn about rapport, how we rapport. The rapport is just in each communication, 7% is just at the level of conscious mind, which is nothing. We think we learn, we went to university, we get a lot of knowledge, but 7% of it is only 7% is using words in our communication, because 38% are tonality, which comes related to our 88% of our unconscious mind. It's related to our grief, how sad, how triggered that it impact to my tonality. And amazingly, 55% is our physiology. And in order to even handle anything, for it's just how much we talk about, all of you and us are in the high level of awareness. We know how breathing has helped us. But beside that is our posture, our gesture, and our facial expression, how they are all connected like a chain to our unconscious mind. Also, another techniques of the grief in NLP, and we will learn about the submodalities of our brain, how to, also how the details of two brains of us.
That's amazing, Mitra. I can't wait to get into this deeper, because I know, like me, you've been learning more and more and more over the past year and a half, 2 years, right? Same here. Like, 3 years ago, when I got down to this journey where I did, this is what I want to teach, right? And so I really made it my life journey, my life mission, to learn as much about it as possible. And that's what we're going to share with our audience, is like the latest techniques, the latest best leading edge tools and techniques to deal with this kind of thing. So this is the first of 3 free workshops that we're doing together. So we just wanted to introduce ourselves here at a high level, describe some of the content that we're going to cover. And what we're doing is really looking at a workshop type environment where we want to get people to join us, to learn something, but also to practice it, right? So even the free programming that we're doing, we're going to offer opportunities to do that. So the next session will be primarily me talking about positive leadership and what it can do to your level of happiness and discovering your purpose. And then we'll talk a little about positive emotions as well, and reprogramming your mind. And then for the third workshop, Mitra will join us with a preview of the grief recovery method. And again, I'm super excited to learn more about this, where she's taken it, because I think for me, it was about 2 years ago that I did some of the, my introduction to it. And I've been using the tool since then. I mean, it also comes with a great resource that allows you to go back to it and apply it to other areas of your life. So Mitra said we'll cover 2 areas in your life, but like most people, we have more than one loss in our lives that we need to let go of, to recover from, right? And to forgive ourselves and others. So that's kind of the lay of the land. So we're going to do 2 free more workshops. And we're going to announce our intensive workshops at the end of it. And hopefully you can join us for one or the other. If certainly take advantage of the free stuff. It's great. We're including tons of content in there. And if you choose to carry on with us, that's great too. We look forward to seeing you at that point. So that's it for now. We'll see you on the next video. And Mitra, any closing remarks?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I love it.
You love it.
Of course. It's finished for first session, correct? What did you say? You said, did you like it?
No, I said, do you have any closing remarks for our audience?
Closing remarks?
Yeah, any words? Do you want to say anything at this point before we close
I like
off?
it. That is, I am got off. I'm funny. Okay. Yeah, look at you. The mostly.
Earth Mitra.
I love it. Okay. It's a new sentence. Okay, words. Later I'll ask you. Yeah, actually you cover everything. And I'm so excited like you to share our knowledge with you guys and go through this journey. Let's pack your luggage. You are going to have an amazing, the most beautiful journey, inner journey ever you've had with us. Looking forward to see you all.
Thank you so much, Mitra. So make sure you sign up for the live version of this free training, or if you register, can't make it, we'll also send you the recordings. So I look forward to seeing you on there. Yeah, it's going to be a great journey. Thank you so much, Mitra, and thanks everyone. We'll see you later.
Thank you.